Hello there. This is another entry in my semi-regular series of videos that I call Forgotten Animated Films. And it's about the 1985 Disney movie, the Disney animated feature, The Black Cauldron. Now, caveat, etc., whatever, no movie is forgotten. They're all precious little babies. We remember them all, but especially a Disney movie. No Disney movie is forgotten. It's just a thing I say. But whenever I talk about one of these movies, one of these lesser known animated movies, or whenever we cover a movie on my podcast, Load Bearing Beams, where it seems like we are getting to a movie where there's no cultural memory or legacy or love for the movie, or at least that's what it seems like, we inevitably get 10 people who immediately comment and they're like, how dare you? This movie's an unassailable classic. How dare you make fun of the 2002 David Duchovny sci-fi comedy Evolution? Or they're like, Quest for Camelot is literally my entire childhood out area. With The Black Cauldron, we have a situation where I am very excited to hear from people who grew up with this movie because I've now seen it twice and I can't make any goddamn sense of it whatsoever. And I can't imagine a child being able to make sense of this movie. But I know that I watched a lot of incomprehensible stuff when I was a kid, and I just accepted it. Like it was just the movie. Like I loved Little Nemo: Adventures in Slumberland. Now I recently rewatched that movie for the first time in 30 years, and I was like, wait a minute. There's like a 10-minute sequence where Nemo gets dance lessons. I had no memory of that. But when you're a kid, you're just like, yeah, this is the part of the movie where he gets dance lessons. What about it? Shut up. That's just the part of the movie. But I know that The Black Cauldron does have a devoted fan base. It has a cult following, and it's from this era of 80s fantasy movies. Think the Dark Crystal, that has like a long shelf life, but it is still more famous as a doomed production than it is as a movie. Among animated Disney movies that Disney has put out in the last 40 years, let's say, we are now at the 40th anniversary of this movie, it might be the one that they have tried to hide the most, which really just means it's the one that they've tried to monetize the least. But like, it wasn't available on VHS until 1998, and that was 13 years after the movie had come out. Only came out on Blu-ray in 2019, though they do have it on Disney Plus in a beautiful 4K restoration. What's the deal with The Black Cauldron? The Black Cauldron, this all starts with a series of 5 novels published in the 1960s by Lloyd Alexander. The series is called The Chronicles of Prydain. Now, Disney options them, and an animated adaptation enters development in the early 1970s. And the idea originally is, let's make a movie that appeals to older kids, maybe young teens, and specifically, let's try to appeal to boys. Disney movies, they're always for girls. Let's try to get a movie for the boys. That is literally the idea that they are trying to go for. Remember that in a minute. But this is something Disney continued trying and failing to do all the way through the 2000s, where it really reaches apex with Atlantis and Treasure Planet, which in terms of box office, those movies were they didn't do good. It was not a successful experiment with trying to not do princess movies. But animated movies take a very, very long time. And this movie specifically takes a long, long time because they make the decision, we're going to adapt 5 novels into one 85-minute movie, 5 novels where there's dozens and dozens of characters in this sprawling narrative, and we're going to try to condense it all down to one little thing. And at the same time, the animation studio, the Disney Animation Studios, is going through a lot of turmoil. I did an earlier video about the movie The Fox and the Hound. You can see that video for more information about that, but there was a very famous exodus of animators led by Don Bluth, the guy who made Secret of NIMH and An American Tail, leaving behind at the Disney studio just a bunch of very, very old men and then some young bucks, hungry to pick up the pieces. But the studio was kind of aimless because of this. They lost basically their best people. The Black Cauldron is directed by Richard Rich and Tad Berman, and they are the same team who directed The Fox and the Hound. And that was also an extremely troubled production, although I think in the case of The Fox and the Hound, that is a much more successful movie. I think it's actually a pretty fantastic movie. But before Disney lands on Berman and Rich to be the directors, there's lots of other directors who are attached, most notably John Musker and Ron Clements, the future superstar animator directors who would do Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Moana. When they land on Berman and Rich, the idea is they want to go back to the animation style of Sleeping Beauty. And that is the specific movie they cite. And you probably don't even need to know that if you look at this movie. It looks so much like Sleeping Beauty, the both backgrounds and the character animation. And they will even bring out Milt Kahl, legendary animator from retirement. He had worked on Sleeping Beauty 30 years earlier. And yeah, the movie does successfully evoke the look and feel of that movie almost distractingly so, but especially in the character of the Princess Elon, I don't even remember how to pronounce her name. The princess in this movie. She looks a lot like Princess Aurora, but she might be the most forgotten Disney princess. She's not in Ralph Breaks the Internet. So, justice for Princess Elon Way. So yeah, the painstaking work of animating this ambitious project begins, and it takes years. And at the same time, huge changes are happening at the Walt Disney Company. The company, especially its movie studio, is in very dire straits. And to turn the ship around, the company appoints Michael Eisner as CEO in 1984. Eisner had previously run ABC Television and then Paramount Pictures, and he brings with him his right-hand man, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and he installs Katzenberg to run the Disney movie studios. So when Katzenberg arrives, he wants to pay special attention to animation. That's a big project for them. We need to revitalize this animation studio. So he goes to the animation studio and he's like, "What do you got, fellas?" And they're like, "We got the Black Cauldron. It's just about completed. It's going to come out in a few months." But the animation studio doesn't feel great about the Black Cauldron. They know it has story problems, but also they know there's not much they can do about it. It is what it is. So they screen this movie for Katzenberg, and he immediately becomes very upset. More than the story problems, the thing that upsets him is that this is a very dark movie. It's very clearly going to be the first Disney animated movie that's not going to get a G rating, and he thinks that's going to be financially a disaster. The point of Disney movies is they are family films, that they get that G rating. Katzenberg then, and keep in mind, he's only ever worked in live action film and TV, so he knows nothing about animation or how it works. He does the thing that executives always do when they get to a new job that they don't know anything about. He just insists he does know what to do, and he just yells at people and just starts mashing buttons to see what happens. So James B. Stewart's book, Disney War, a great book that I always recommend, has a great anecdote about what happens next. So I'm just going to read from Disney War. Quote, "This has to be edited," Katzenberg proclaimed as soon as the film ended. Hale objected. Hale is the producer of the movie. "Animated films can't be edited," he insisted. "There was no excess footage in an animated film, all of which was painstakingly hand-drawn and colored. You couldn't just cut scenes and add new ones, not with the release just weeks away." "That's ridiculous," Katzenberg retorted. You can edit anything." "No, you can't," Hale persisted. "It's seamless." "Yes, you can, and I'll show you how," Katzenberg said as tension mounted. "Let's go into the editing room." End quote. So yeah, what Katzenberg found out is you can delete stuff from an animated movie, but there's nothing to add. It's not like a live action movie where you have alternate takes or you have extra footage or you have coverage that you can put in to pad it out or to make things work better. No, every frame of the movie is painstakingly and expensively animated. So yeah, there's not actually a way to just add new stuff in. And the animators naturally become very upset about this. This outsider who doesn't know anything about what we do comes in and tells us everything we're doing is wrong, even though he does have a point that this movie clearly isn't working. But big changes are on the horizon for the studio. See another earlier video I made about this change that the studio makes between how they develop animated movies. The traditional method of using storyboards, of it being driven by animators, that gets discarded. Instead, they treat it more like traditional live action Hollywood movies, and they start with the screenplay, and they rewrite, and they rewrite, and they rewrite until they're so sold on the story, and then they start to animate. Both methods have their pluses and minuses, but there's not much they can do about the Black Cauldron other than removing a handful of scenes. And the movie came out in the summer of 1985, and at $45 million, its budget, it was the most expensive animated movie ever made, and it made about $20 million. It was a colossal flop. The Disney War book points out that the animators were specifically upset, not so much that it flopped, but that the Care Bears movie had made more money than the Black Cauldron. When Roy E. Disney, who was the chairman of Disney Animation, he appeared on the Today Show to promote the Black Cauldron, they asked him, "So what's the Black Cauldron about?" And he was stuck. He had no idea what to say. So what is the Black Cauldron about? I will attempt now to do what Roy E. Disney could not do and explain it to you. Okay, so the Black Cauldron is, well, it's like, okay, what you have to know about the Black Cauldron is that like the Black Cauldron it's all around us. Like you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. When you eat a fish out of the stream, you're eating the Black Cauldron. When you make lemonade using lemons from the lemon tree, you're drinking the Black Cauldron. Okay? It's very simple. So our story begins with some fucker named Taran, and his literal job is pig keeper. Now, even among Disney's dull dolts, he is a dull Disney dolt. Pigs, they're a big deal in this world, especially this one pig that Taran takes care of. This pig is Henwin. Taran is in love with this pig. To quote Charlotte's Web, this is some pig. Because this pig has the powers of like divination. It can like see through the cosmic membrane of the universe and unleash untold magic forces. And then there's this evil horned king called the Horned King, and he really wants this pig, and he's going to use this pig for his own evilness. So like specifically the pig can unlock the Black Cauldron, which in turn create an army of the super undead, and then they can do evil stuff for the Horned King. We don't want that. So Taran, gets sent on a mission. Go protect this pig. Go take the pig somewhere. Got to protect that pig. Don't know why they need to move him, but they got to move that pig. Protect the pig is the point, but he doesn't protect the pig. Immediately fails at his job because he sucks. The pig gets captured like little seconds after Taran leaves on his mission. But Taran is fine with that because he's like, oh boy, now I get to go on an adventure. I was previously just some pig fucker, and now I get to go on a grand adventure. Oh, blimey. Always wanted to do more than be a pig guy. So he sets off to go to the castle of the Horned King. And on the way, he meets this little guy named Gurgi. So what to make of Gurgi? Gurgi might be the element of the movie that has the most lasting legacy, if only because it really seems like Andy Serkis was channeling Gurgi when he portrayed Gollum.
Give it back. I warn you. Come on.
But Gurgi is very obviously a ripoff. It took a lot of inspiration from Gollum as conceptualized in Tolkien's books. But yeah, he's just this annoying little guy, and he has a lot of annoying back and forth about how he wants to go with Taran on his quest, but also he's afraid, but he's going to go anyway. And you get it. Eventually they get to the castle, and the castle of the Horned King. But here's something cool. The Horned King, he rules, and his castle rules. His castle is in the tradition of the most evil castles. You know he's doing evil shit because he's got like these pterodactyls flying around, and they rule. And the Horned King looks awesome, and his voice is by John Hurt, and it rules. Also, he has all these like hooded Celtic brutes who are his enforcers. You love to see it. When this is happening, this happens like 12 minutes into the movie. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we're doing something now with this movie. But now then we go back to our piece of shit heroes. And then they get the pig out of the castle, but in the process, they're captured. But even then, after they get captured, they just kind of walk out. And then we meet the Princess Elon Musk. It's been 50 years since Snow White came out, and Disney still hasn't figured out how to make a princess into an interesting character, but she at least fits right in with the boring male lead that's also in the classic tradition of Disney movies, having a dull male lead and a dull female lead. Anyway, as if they weren't annoying enough, they meet Fluderschlam, who's like this, he's just kind of commenting on the action. He's like, oh yeah, gotta watch out for that Horned King. And then somewhere along the way, like Taran finds like an enchanted sword, and he's like, oh blimey, but I'm just a pig man, and I'm supposed to wield this sword, am I? Oh, what's all this then? I'm just a pig boy. But then the rest of the characters is like, no, you're so much more, you're so special, I know you will, I know you'll wield the sword successfully. And yeah, this feels like you're watching a movie where they deleted a bunch of scenes, and yet I don't know how adding the scenes back in would have made the plot make more sense, but at least you would have felt more grounded in the world and like you understand the world more. The movie also has this narration to open the movie by John Huston, and it is shocking that this narration doesn't return again and again and again to sort of fill in the gaps situate you more. It feels like this could be like a Harrison Ford in the theatrical cut of Blade Runner, to just make everything make more sense, even if it is awkward. But the most incongruous thing in the movie, by far, is the appearance of these fairies, who seem like they are imported from a Disney movie, a different Disney movie, a cuter Disney movie. Also, they look like a lot like the fairies from Sleeping Beauty, but they're just here to sell toys, to speak in grating voices, and then they just kind of go away. And then the whole movie all builds up to Gurgi like sacrificing himself. Like he's been an annoying piece of shit the whole time, but then he sacrifices himself, and his friends are like, "Oh, turns out he wasn't annoying. He sacrificed himself. Yay." I feel like a child, like trying to tell you a joke, a very long and complicated joke that I don't actually remember while I'm going. So it makes me feel kind of insane. But having said all of this, I kind of like this movie. I at least like looking at it. I like how dark it is. The story doesn't make that much sense, but like you can, if you're into animation and you just, mute the screen, just mute the TV, look at the screen. It looks real pretty. It's one of these movies that hits home for me, a lesson I learn over and over, which is that I should do more drugs. If there's one regret I have in life, it's that I haven't done enough drugs. Do more drugs is what I'm saying. They will unlock it all. They will unlock the Black Cauldron. Black Cauldron fans out there, super fans, sound off. I want to hear from you. What do you love about this movie? Let me know.